Hi, I'm Gary Smith, and welcome back. Here are some sample questions that a home inspector should be prepared to answer. So, how much do you charge? What exactly do you look for? How long will this inspection take? You know, when most buyers think about questions to ask a home inspector, it's usually about things they do before they hire them. Real estate professional Bill Gassett recently wrote an article titled Questions to Ask a Home Inspector After the Inspection is Complete. Today on Open Mic, Charles and I will discuss Bill's 5 questions. We'll discuss a few of our favorite threads posted in our open group on Facebook. And we hope to share information to help you grow a home inspection business. Today's podcast is sponsored by the Drone U. Whether you're new to drones or you're a seasoned pilot, they can help you fly safe, fly right, and make your business soar. Visit them at thedroneu.com. Came in here kind of unannounced, Charles. I appreciate you coming in with me. And I was online earlier today ran into, I know someone that you know well. You said you know Bill Gassett from, what was it?
From Active Rain.
Active Rain, yeah. So, and Bill had written a article that I thought was meaningful. Questions to ask the home inspector after the home inspection is completed. What should you ask the inspector? And he goes on and gives some questions and kind of sets it up by thinking of the things you need to ask a home inspector. Are you qualified and things like that before the inspection? But once you get going, he has 5 questions that he posted in this thread, in this blog piece. Charles and I were talking about it before we came on, about the ways to, well, you tell him, Charles, what you thought, the report.
Well, there were
solves
5.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean, there were 5 questions, and the answer to all 5 questions is really pretty simple. Why wasn't it in the report? Why? For example, one question was, can you explain this to me?
Right.
Why wasn't the thing explained in the report? Another question was, how big a problem is this? How serious is it? Why wasn't that explained in the report? So, all 5 of these have basically that same answer, and it speaks to a problem that's really a problem for the whole industry, is reports that really don't say anything.
So this, to kind of put that in perspective too, this is a real estate agent writing an article, and he's writing this article in preparing or trying an attempt to educate his buyers, his followers. And quite, appropriately so, he is asking it as an agent. Can you explain this to me? And he's prepping his client to say, unless you're the home inspector yourself, chances are I'll read it. Unless you're a home inspector yourself, chances are there will be some parts of the inspection report that you don't fully understand. It's normal to tend to need some clarification. And can you explain it to me? And I think that really does cut straight to the heart of being prepared as a home inspector. If you can't explain what you put in the report, then you're in deep tapioca. And that kind of goes to that place where we're talking about the canned comments, where you think there's a problem there, and you just put something down that was a canned comment that potentially was in the report to begin with, when you never cleared out your canned comments.
Right. And, I counsel students that it's a really good idea to, if you're going to leave those canned comments that come with the report, go in there and rewrite them. In that process of rewriting and putting them in your own voice, you may actually come to understand what they're about. Whereas otherwise, they're just things that, well, it's about a TPR valve, so you stuck it in there. But do you really understand what the rules are around a TPR valve and why? We have home inspectors that don't understand the why of lots of stuff, and it's a problem for consumers, I think.
So how big of a problem is this? Part of what makes the home inspection report so unnerving to home buyers is the level of detail they contain. Home inspection reports can be up to 50 to 100 pages long, depending on the number of issues within the home. The report will probably contain numerous pictures and details and notes from the inspector. It can be overwhelming. How big of a problem is this, Charles? What would you tell your client based on what it is? I'm sure, but I mean, it's in the report. You would say, like in my report, I mentioned that this TPR valve is whatever.
So, read the report. The report should clearly explain what it is. And if at that point they still need clarification, that should be a red flag that you need to go and tweak that comment a little bit. If you've got there's always somebody that's going to read between the lines and think of something that you didn't think of, and that can then improve your narrative if you edit it to include that question, to answer that question.
Mm-hmm. So do I need an expert to look at this problem is question number 3 that Bill poses in this article. The home inspector is a generalist. He or she knows how to spot issues and potential problems, but it's unlikely to be seriously trained in all areas of the home repair. However, the home inspector should be able to tell you if it would be a good idea for an expert to come in and examine the issue, for instance, electricians.
Well, clearly the report should explain exactly who needs to fix the problem, and whether it's Uncle Joe or a licensed and bonded electrician. Each narrative is going to be different depending on what the issue is.
And for the 5 questions that Bill has mentioned in this article, the more questions we uncover, the more detailed the experience level becomes unearthed. Is this problem normal? So a home inspector should be able to tell the buyer if it's typical for them to see the issue that you're called out. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you don't want your report to be an example of why they shouldn't have hired you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be the worst thing.
You are the guy. You are the dude.
You're the professional at the time, right? If you get an outstanding inspector, they will take the time to explain if a problem is something you really should worry about or is a common issue. Unfortunately, many home inspectors don't take time to do this. Now, here's a real estate agent telling his listeners, his blog followers, unfortunately, home inspectors don't take the time to do this. Why do you think that Bill has chosen this opportunity to say many home inspectors don't take the time to tell them if it's a problem they should?
Well, because I think it happens every day. And right. Bill has a huge following, way more than me or you or anybody I know. He's got a huge following. So his voice is a good voice that a lot of people pay attention to. I would, we all look for that kind of impact in our businesses, and he's worked hard to get there.
So if you have never bought a home before, what comes out of the inspector's mouth can sometimes be terrifying, Bill writes. In fact, it is one of the reasons I recommend real estate agents attend home inspections. Not only is it part of an agent's job, but they can also be there to be a sounding board between the client and the inspector. For example, when the inspector says, I found 2 double tap wires in the electric panel and it's a safety hazard, you can often then see the eyes of the buyer's face, and the real estate agent can then say something to the inspector like, how often do you see this?
Yeah, I personally kind of hope the agent isn't in that close of proximity. Sometimes they are, but generally the agent leaves me and the client to do our thing in the house, and they don't have that kind of input. And I prefer that. I think it makes it easier for everybody. But I can see where some inspectors, that agent is going to want to be there. They just they don't trust the inspector, and that's a bad red flag right there. You know, why aren't people trusting you to act appropriately? I mean, I'm not a big fan. I mean, a lot of agents probably wouldn't want to see me there, but they do trust that I have their best interest.
So that leaves us with number 5, which is something that I'll let you help me on this because I'm a little bit confused. But we'll read it and see. Can you advise me on things I should fix when I move into the home? There may be some home repairs that should be taken care of pretty quickly after you move in. Problems like leaking pipes are the ones that you not ignore. Waiting for too long to get these repairs done. You know, he goes on to talk about how it would damage the house.
Well, again, those should all be prioritized and in the report. If the report isn't containing this kind of information, fix it. You know,
yeah. Well, this is the article is a good one to kind of start talking about it. It goes on to say home inspection problems that should be addressed before moving in, and he lists a short list: mold, lead paint, radon, any structural defects, kinds of safety hazards and things that might cause you physical harm to you or your family or your pets, or etc. Common sense issues. I don't see any kind of comments from the group just yet. We'll just keep here on a lighter note. What's going on in your world? Mr. Charles, you got any? You guys are getting ready to go to Inspection World next week. Big event, an annual event, ASHI Inspectors.
Yeah.
You're presenting.
Yes, I am. I'm presenting kind of a composite this time. It's 6 electrical things, 4 plumbing things, 2 things related to egress and emergency escape and rescue. So it's just, it's sort of things that more esoteric kinds of things like 208 volts and HVAC wiring, plumbing, maybe dead legs, things like this. Things that inspectors have less experience or familiarity with, don't even know about, maybe.
Sure.
So,
are they all combined under one topic name? Is it like miscellaneous, or are they separate ones? What are the names?
It's called, well, I had an original title called Exotic and Sexy Significant Things. But,
yeah, that'll work.
That didn't fly. So it
had to get by the committee.
Yeah, exactly. So it's called Inspection Fundamentals, Safety and Better Service. So that's what ASHI named it.
Yeah. What day do you have a date yet on your calendar?
It's Monday. I'm from 2 to 4 on Monday.
So the sessions start when? Prep us on the show. Do you remember? You have that by heart?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are the heart of the presentations, and then of course this before acts. You know, you can go and learn about the radon and infrared, and I think maybe DEX and other things that happen for, like, you can get your level 1 IR there, for example. I think either before or after, I can't remember.
So there are scheduled sessions Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and some pre-session and post-session classes that you can get certifications of different types. Yeah. And it's in San Diego. And it starts next Sunday, a week.
Well, week from today. Of course, those pre-sessions, I think, start Friday and Saturday before.
Right. Okay.
I don't really know too much about that. I'm just winging it. I know I saw them on the schedule, so I know that they are. If you're interested in dates, look it up. You can easily find.
Look it up. Homeinspector.org, I think, is ASHI's website. URL.
Just Google ASHI San Diego 2019. It's all there. easy to find.
Yep. And that'll be the annual event for ASHE for the year. I spoke with Speaker of the Corps, Hollis Brown, just briefly on text. He'll be swearing in a new speaker this session, this year on the 20th. And I know he's looking forward to passing that. He's looking forward to passing that along to the next chairperson.
And never a shortage of need for volunteers, is there?
That's true. Yeah. So what else is going on? I've noticed you're doing really well on your YouTube channel, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I had one video that went sort of viral there for a spell, and it got me monetized. And there's been this number building up in there for 5 or 6 months, and I just looked the other day, and it was like $900, and I said, this can't be real money.
There you go. And the one that you got 1 or 2 videos that are really pushing you over the top there.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Into that one that went viral, it's like 620,000 hits now, which is nothing in compared to other people. There's guys out there with
millions,
900 million, about to go to 1 billion hits.
That's crazy.
That's crazy stuff. I mean,
but your session was showing was a presentation to a class in Washington State.
That's right, and it was never meant as a YouTube video to go viral. Anywhere. It's just a student filmed me in class, and of course the film is vertical, and most people love poking fun at me for why did I film it vertical? Well, I didn't film it, first of all, and it was just fun. It was just a way for the students to have to be able to revisit what we did in class, and it's only a small part of what we talked about related to the video, but the video went nuts anyway, and it keeps getting reposted, and at one point it was getting 3,000 and 4,000 hits a day. Now, and it's petered off a little bit now. It's down to probably the average is about 100 hits a day. But,
yeah, and I don't know how that percentage works. If it's bots are visiting, that.
Yeah, I think it makes a huge difference what kind of video it is and where it's being hit. I mean, you can have a video that goes viral about your kid falling off a ladder, but that thing is not going to ever get monetized. Unless a channel picked it up that had 100 others that were with it, and the algorithms around it all are complicated. Ones that are clearly information dense and of quality information. I think that it's just like YouTube. If you're blogging about good stuff, your stuff is going to be favored by the search engines, and when advertisers are looking for places to place their ads, I mean, for some reason electrical issues are a big deal. I suspect that Mr. Electric Boom, if you haven't seen his videos, he's awesome. He has over 2 million subscribers.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I've got like 2,500 subscribers.
Yeah. I think I have like 70.
But as soon as you get that kind of number of subscribers and topical topics that Google likes, my nephew has a channel about his hydroponic greenhouses. He makes about $350 a month.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, well, that's like a car note, or
Yeah, I know.
$50 more than I had last month. Yeah,
exactly. And we all need little sources of mad money. And
there you go. So I notice in here, glad to be a part of the group. This is a new Wayne Jones. Welcome to the group, Wayne. In South Africa. Started my home inspection business in November. So we've got some folks in Australia, some folks in South Africa. We've also, I think we have a couple guys in here from England, that you know. So we're proud to have you in here, and proud to have the reach that Facebook allows us across the big water.
We even got some of those Canadian guys, don't we?
The Canadians, yeah, they seem to be everywhere. Yeah, yeah. So, do you have any other topics this past week that you found interesting, Charles, in the group? We had one that we talked about, and it's slipping my mind. I'm scrolling through the group here to locate the topic. I did enjoy the photo you sent me of the above ground surface that had noted underground wiring in the comment.
Yeah, that was just a comment that somebody sent me, and I don't know where it came from, but all our reports, I'm sure I have things that are mislabeled, things that didn't get deleted that shouldn't be in there. We put these reports out under a lot of time constraints, and I warned my client right up front, there will be typos and errors in the report. And
will be typos and errors. Tell me something about this latest article you have on your blog. It's called "When You Do Not Know What You Are Doing," and it shows an interior, looks like a view of an interior door looking out, with there's a daylight coming through the transom.
Yes.
What's the crust of that?
Well, it was a remodel, and this door into the garage was just sort of buried. I don't really understand all of the reasons it could have gotten done the way it did, but it did. And it was just funny because it's not proper barrier between the garage and the house and a whole bunch of other things. And it looked really nice from the inside, right?
Right. And we had another topic in there about a proper inspector came into our big group and had a video of a door with a window.
Yeah, I mean, this conversation gets brought up all the time. It's probably one of the things that home inspectors seem the most confused about is garage house separation.
Well, you say home inspectors get confused. It sounds like that door didn't just jump up there. Remodelers, if that was a flip, and I think that might have been a remodel. So yeah. Contractors are obviously confused about this as well.
Well, yes, obviously, but home inspectors are there to understand. Again, it's back to your question earlier. Why isn't the report explaining the consequences and what's wrong and why? It's because home inspectors don't know. Why don't we know? Because we aren't training home inspectors to understand. We teach them these rules of thumb that they hope they can rely on so that they don't get caught with their pants down. But
right, sure.
In my opinion, we need to move the profession to a place where we're actually teaching the why part more than these rules of thumb. So
I truly believe that our big group, both of them, we have an open group. For those of you who don't know, we have an open group that's open to agents and contractors and subs and anyone that would like to come in and hang out and learn more about what we do as home inspectors. We have a closed group that's for home inspectors only, where we go in and we talk about real estate agents and all the other things that we want to talk about in private. Yeah, and I'm sure that real estate agents have a group that they talk about home inspectors and all the things they do in private. But I did notice one we kind of went to school on. We get 33 comments, but it's a bigger thread than what I think the comments show. And that's where we had the three joists together, the beams.
Oh yeah.
Where do you strap it together or do you not? And when the opportunity to discuss this could, as it quite often is in the manufacturers.
Well, it's going to be the engineer is going to specify. I want 3 three, I want a triple joist here. At that point, the engineer is going to throw it off likely to the truss manufacturer, and the truss manufacturer's engineer is going to produce a drawing that shows how to deal with these three trusses. The architect has spelled out. Sometimes the plans will have that spelled out. Sometimes the plans
on it.
Sometimes the plans will simply say, "Look at the truss package drawings."
Right. So those details might include the strapping. In due diligence for the home inspector, he may not need to mention the way to repair it, but a need to seek more data from
just verify proper installation. Honestly, this really gets to a great topic. I had no idea we would go here today, but this is something that's really been of interest to me lately. Is home inspectors don't have enough time to do what we need to do. And it's all part of, I got to get to the next inspection. It's just a visual inspection. I'm trying to not get too detailed. Well, if you're doing new construction inspection, you kind of have to have the time to do it. So this idea that you can be in and out of a house in 2 hours, we need to move away from that so that we have the time to look at the plans. When you're doing new construction, you should insist that the plans be there when you get there, and you should be willing and able to look at those plans and see that they're consistent with what you're seeing installed. This is especially like on a frame inspection. If you're doing house frame inspections and you're not looking at plans, that's scary.
So the first question on in-progress construction inspection might include at least the first top 5 that you would want to have, when you want to do it. What's the address? Where is a set of prints? Where are the drawings? Where are the working drawings?
Where are the plans? Where are the truss package plans? Those two are big ones. What are the HVAC requirements? What are the plumbing requirements? What are the energy requirements of that particular jurisdiction? We're not code inspectors, but you have to have that basic information if you're going to give any kind of really truly take care of your client, which I think that's what home inspectors want to do ideally, but we're under the illusion that we can do this just visually. I don't know, it's by magic somehow that we're going to remember all this stuff. I can't barely remember. I don't try to remember anything. You have to have the resources and the experience to maybe have things jump out at you to question it. But are you seriously going to remember 28 different manufacturers' requirements for how close the gas vent termination can be to a soffit? They're all over the place.
Technical, yeah. And that's where a lot of this stuff you can have their little cheat sheet, that the quick code cheat sheet card.
Yeah, but that's only going to get you in the ballpark. Just yesterday, I was going around with a guy on clearances to a direct vent exhaust cap to a soffit. Well, it was one model by the same manufacturer was 12 inches or 18 inches if it's open, if it's vented, or 30 inches if it's vinyl. And then another unit, same unit, it's 18 inches to vented, 18 inches to unvented, and 36 inches to vinyl. This is the same manufacturer. So other manufacturers, it's all over the place. So we need as inspectors to have the time to be able to look at these cut sheets. This is a significant safety issue, is it not?
Right. And one that is directly related to that. I'm looking at assistance is welcome regarding this direct vent fireplace. And Charles, you had made a comment a little earlier where it looks to me like that a floodlight is installed probably 2 feet from the top of this sheet metal cover that has the word HOT on it. That means hot.
Yeah.
And your question is simple, Adam. What brand is this? Yeah. And immediately the brand would tell you whether or not and answer the question. Is it too close to the heat?
But even my question wasn't truly accurate. It should have been what brand, what model. It's
right. So you can, but where I was going was that if the default is, can we put it this close to it? The default question is, where are the instructions, and do I have enough time to stop or during my inspection or after my inspection, do the dedicated or necessary work to research this particular product, since you don't have it, recorded in your brain. And then make the appropriate recommendation.
Yeah, and when we're doing intake for inspections, we should be asking, are there direct vent appliances in the house? If the answer to that is yes, I will need the instructions or the model numbers for those, or I will be looking them up afterwards, and that takes more time. That costs more money. So your inspection is going to be priced accordingly. There was a time when I used to think that if it's brand new construction, I could charge a little less. It's going to be a little easier. But houses are getting more and more complicated. It takes time to look up all these manufacturers. And
yes, absolutely.
Of course, the knee-jerk reaction of most home inspectors, well, I'm not a code inspector. I don't care. We have to care about things that can burn houses down, don't we?
I would think, and I do not discount my my inspections in any kind of way, especially the new constructions. They take Absolutely. You have to do some reading. You really need to stay abreast of it, of it.
But this really comes up hard against these guys that have a flat fee for any house. How does that happen? How can anybody take care of their client and have a $350 fee regardless of size, age, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, the business model, I think that'd be challenging for me, for sure. We have a one in here that again doesn't have a ton of comments, but was what was real meaningful to me, and that's that one that James posted about the roof decking with the spots under it that could be mold and maybe not mold.
Jimmy Q, yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Q. When do you get sensitive about mold, Charles? Do you have a sensitivity level? For me personally, if I walk into a place that's really moldy, my body has the immediate reaction to get the hell out. And that's the normal reaction to any kind of air environment where you've got a lot of crud in the air. But it isn't directly related to mold because mold is just one small component of that dirty air pour into air quality. But Jimmy's post was spot on. It's a non-issue, and that roofer was out to lunch recommending that sheathing be replaced. So that particular one, the inspector had, the subcontractor had recommended that the roof decking be pulled down. Is that
well, to the point of recommending throwing the inspector under the bus for not mentioning it, or at least that's one of the scenarios I gathered. But this is a confusing thing because you can find 10 take 10 inspectors, 5 of them are going to say that's extremely dangerous and going to kill you situation, to it's not dangerous at all and leave it alone. Why are we in such disparate camps about this issue? Because of money. If we look at it objectively, which is difficult to do. The science just is not there to support that mold is a huge issue unless you're severely immunocompromised, of which lots of things are a problem for that person, that individual, and they have to live their life accordingly. But that doesn't mean that we treat every single house as if everyone is severely immunocompromised. We would all just, all might as well just get off the planet.
Yeah. So with the bad air, I wonder if you often or sometimes run into a hoarder, a home that is extremely filled with personal possessions and debris piled on the countertops, on the floor. Have you been called to a home to do an inspection or any kind of evaluation where you would consider that to be a hoarding situation where the homeowner, there are some fire safety rules for
it's all kinds of
interior, right?
I had one apartment building I inspected where in one of the units, the guy had been using the toilet with the lid closed for weeks.
Oh, lovely.
That was the nastiest thing I've ever come across. And you opened the door and you just could not be in there. And you could tell it when you walked in the unit. But this is, you run into cases of where mental illness is a factor. It's a matter of degree is all. We're all mentally ill,
Right. Mike has reviewed your contract. I don't think your liability for a missed item for an inspection should be limited to the cost of the inspection. Item 4, item 9. I don't think I should have to indemnify you against others using you unless I provide them the report. Do you understand that? Pre-inspection agreement?
I understand the limit of liability. I don't believe in having limited liability clauses in contracts, but I'm sort of a outlier there. Most people want it as some sort of protection, but it's an illusion. If somebody dies, you're hosed, period. So I don't think it's, in fact, my structural pest license prohibits me from having a limited liability clause. So that's a manufactured thing by our industry that makes us feel better.
And do you think that this question is going to vary based on the state the inspector is inspecting?
Possibly. I think some states don't allow them flat out. Some have maybe yes, maybe no. But it's a pretty pervasive thing among the associations to promote this idea of limiting liability, which is, frankly, it's an illusion. It may keep. The thing about lawsuits is they're expensive. And just don't go there. If somebody's, you've really upset somebody if you've ended up in court over an issue. There are the outliers, the general wackos that are in the business of making a living off of suing people. But these aren't normal people. These are a different kind of person that uses the toilet with the lid down.
Right. Massachusetts doesn't allow for limited liability.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's great for the client, great for the customer. Great. May seem like it's not so good for the inspector, but honestly, if the inspector's doing a good job, he doesn't have to worry about that stuff.
So back on the ASHI convention, the ASHI inspection world that's coming up, are you familiar with any new technology? Is anyone bringing anything different? I know drones are, there's always a new drone. drone battery life is one of the things that has gotten better over time. It's close to 30 minutes now on some models. But have you seen any?
I haven't heard about stuff, but there's always new stuff. It's a great place to learn about the new stuff. But I haven't heard of anything in particular. The mold guys are there, and the radon guys are there, and the drone guys, the crawl space drone guys will be there. All of this stuff that we've grown to expect to see there.
Tools,
tools, insurance.
Very good. Let's see what we have in here. What's going on? A total of 67,000 people watching us.
What? That can't be.
Five
people. Right? Yeah.
Everyone is off on Sunday, and hanging out in the group is probably not big this Sunday. It's always big for folks during the week, and we are offering home inspectors a way that they can get free support on home inspector questions. We got a lot of really smart guys in the group. Biggest inspection group on Facebook dedicated to home inspectors, certainly not the biggest Facebook group, but dedicated to home inspector issues and the like. And we opened this group to allow others to come in and learn more about the profession and to network with inspectors across the country and around the world, as you can see with South Africa and the like. And we appreciate being in here.
Aren't there any pointy ball activities today?
Pointy ball was yesterday, and I'm not sure. Some of the guys can tell us about pointy ball stuff. I don't follow pro football that much. I follow the college stuff, and the Alabama game. I pulled for SEC, and the Alabama game was enlightening, shall we say?
I only follow football, round ball.
Oh, soccer. Yeah.
Barcelona beat up today.
Okay. Yeah. There's MSNBC carries a lot of the early stuff. Mm-hmm. 5 or 6 in the morning. I can catch it here Central on cable. Listening and typing 2 reports this afternoon. John, bless your heart. Hang in there. Charles, what do you say? We're going to wrap it up. Good session. Good to see you and chat again. We're going to
give me the link. Maybe I'll be kind of fun to forward it to Bill. I didn't see it.
Yeah. Let's do that. We'll push this down to Bill and get his feedback on it. Also, want to get a link in our group for the Inspection World coming up. We want you guys to be fully informed of all our national events, whether it be an ASHI group or an INTERNACHI group, and we'll try to get that posted and promoted in the announcents in the group. Urge you to.
Last time I looked, there was over 1,000 signed up, but I don't know what the number.
Participants at ASHI World. Yeah. Good. That's good.
I'm sure there'll be more by next Sunday, but that's
sounds like a good record. Sounds like. Mm-hmm. So thanks. If you get to the opportunity, if you're listening to us on podcast, please subscribe. And if not, over on YouTube, we'll be posting this on YouTube. Follow our channel. For Gary Smith and Charles Buell, we'll talk soon.
All right. See ya.